Hi, I'm Vignesh from Cybernetics, and today we are going to talk about our most powerful and yet underused tools in the cybersecurity called as SBOM. Stay tuned, we'll be talking much more about this particular topic because maybe it can save you from the next big supply chain attacks. So now let's quickly understand about the problem or the why supply chain risk matters. Because let's take a pause for a minute and let's ask a question to your developers or to your security team. Like whatever application that is being present in your entire organizations, are you aware of each and every dependencies of that applications or not? So now think about those applications which you have been developed or which you have been onboarded by the third party vendor. So in all those applications there are multiple dependencies that is being used. So some of them which is already be known by those developers because they kind of try to import those particular packages while developing those applications, but what they are completely blind to developers is basically transitive dependencies, or in simple terms we can say it as indirect dependencies. So that is where the entire hidden iceberg lies in, and we are going to talk about that in a bit moment. So you must be aware of those past recent attacks that has been happened in the recent times, that is SolarWinds attacks, KSA attacks, XZ utils, and these are the different supply chain major attacks that has been happening in this particular world. And if you look at the common factor between these attacks, that is the trust factor. So these attacks didn't perform any complex hard techniques or bypassing those EDRs and everything. What they did was simple. They put malicious code, basically slipped in those malicious code into those update packages, and they tried to get into those organizations. Pretty simple, without even bypassing those defense mechanisms or hardcore defense mechanisms. So that is where the supply chain risk now getting more and more used techniques in those threat actors, because it can easily bypass those hardcore defense control that we have provided. No emails, no phishings, or no writing their own malicious payloads that it needs to be executed in the target's environment. Nothing like that. A simple malicious code that is being, or we can compromise into those suppliers code, and that's it. You are already being that threat actors get access to those thousands of target organizations, whoever using those particular open source libraries. So now that you have understood the purpose or like the a bit background about supply chain attacks and the basic need for SBOM, let us quickly understand like what SBOM is. So SBOM stands for software bill of materials. So you can think of it like a food label. So whenever you go into a market and you try to purchase a particular groceries or any products, you try to look into those nutrition facts, right? That is already been printed back of the product. And similar way it would tell you about what are the contents, what are the ingredients that is being used to prepare those particular product or any grocery items. Similarly, in software world, you can think of it like it would tell you about the entire or all things whatever that is used to develop those particular applications. And when I mean that the things, I'm basically mean to say that what are the components, libraries, packages, dependencies, and the relationship between those dependencies. All this information is what you will be getting it when you generate a particular SBOMs for an application. So in short, what SBOM tells you is basically what's inside your applications, what are the different packages, libraries that are being used. So basically you would be getting a complete visibility of your entire applications that have been using to develop those applications. Now without that, if let's say you don't have any particular SBOM solutions or any platform to manage those particular things, then basically you are flying blind because you are unaware of those hidden dependencies which is being utilized by those developers, which even they are unknown to themselves. So now let us quickly look at the regulatory expectations in India. So if you look at RBI or SEBI, they have all mandated the generation of SBOMs for all these critical applications. So RBI directly refers to the certain, so whoever or those regulated entities falls under the RBI, they have to kind of follow those certain guidelines in order to get compliant. And similar way, SEBI regulated entities, they have to follow those SEBI regulated mandates or their own requirements. So if you look at the certain, they have like 21 data or the minimum data fields required for generating an SBOM. You can basically follow those guides and basically can kind of generate those SBOM as per these guidelines and compliant and get compliant basically. And in similar way, if you look at from a SEBI standpoint, they need 9 fields including like what is the supplier name, what is the component name, version, dependencies name, and etc. So this is what if you look at from a SEBI and from an RBI, these are their regulatory expectations if you look at from an Indian standpoint. So now let's look how SBOM can reduce your risk. So let me give you 3 superpowers that basically SBOM would unlock your security team. So number 1 is the vulnerability detection at speed. So let's say you have a proper inventory of your applications that is being the SBOM generated for all those applications, and basically you have a continuous vulnerability scanning. So let's say tomorrow a new CV or a new zero day comes into the market, and let's say already CV has been mapped into that particular vulnerability. You can quickly go into those your inventory and search upon those either by a CV ID or by those vulnerable component name, and you can quickly get the answers whether I am being affected or not, or let's say whether I am using those vulnerable component in any of my applications or not. So that is one of the superpower that when you have an SBOM that unlocks it for you. And the second one is the third party risk management. So let's say whenever you onboard a new applications into your organizations through any third party vendor, or let's say it's a COTS product, so in that cases you can already make sure to create a agreement level mandate to provide you the SBOMs for those vendors also. So in that case scenario, you won't be blind to those third party vendor applications, because normally what happens is like for the in-house applications you can easily generate those SBOMs, right? But for the third party vendors it becomes very difficult. Hence a service level agreement, or you can directly mandate into your agreement, only procurement agreement, that we need the SBOM for whatever applications that you onboard into our organization. So in that way also SBOM helps you to completely get the visibility of those COTS product too. And the third one would be the license obligations. So let's say not all open source licenses are all kind of safe, because like some are there, like AGPL licenses are there, which mandates or which if at all be used in your any of your applications, and if you are unaware, basically that license can cause you in legal troubles, because that itself says you to kind of make your entire code public or open source. So any trademark or any, let's say any IP that you have, you might also have to make it open source in that case. So SBOM not only just helps you about detecting vulnerability, but also helps you in identifying those license risks, and that is what again SBOM is for something you would be using it to kind of help you out. So this is where Cybernex comes into the picture. So we have developed our own product called NXRadar. It's a platform, so it's a continuous or comprehensive SBOM management solutions. So where the team can basically look about the entire SBOM that you have generated in a single inventory, and basically you can get answers to those questions, like if any new CV comes in tomorrow, or you can quickly get answers to those particular things, whether I'm being affected or not. So it's entire comprehensive management solution, automated solutions, which will help the organizations to kind of manage just their SBOMs for all the applications. And whether you are a CISO, or you are a DevSecOps team, or any security team, it doesn't matter who have to kind of provide those risk report to the board. We will provide you full spectrum visibility into your applications, and that is what NXRadar promises. And here is how NXRadar does it different. So the first step is that basically you need to generate an SBOMs. So if you look at the process of how the SBOM is generated, there are basically different methods of generating the SBOMs. So let's say we have our own CLI tool that is used to kind of generate an SBOM. And if you look at like from a third party vendor's point of view, let's say you are an organization and you don't own the application source code. So in that case, basically you can upload the SBOMs procured directly from those vendors. So that is another options, that is upload SBOMs. And then third, we have the CI/CD integration. So in case you already have a CI/CD pipelines, so basically you can directly integrate our CLI and our solutions natively into it, and basically on every release, whenever a developer pushes the code into production, you can run these SBOMs pipeline too, along with the other pipelines that you have. So these are the different methods of generation that we have it. So once you generate the SBOM, the next step would be kind of analyzing those particular SBOMs, validating those SBOMs in our platform. So we do those validations, whether it is in proper schema or not, whether it's in proper structure or not. And once we have that, we kind of do the enrichment. So enrichment is basically, let's say those SBOM that you have generated might not have all the respective required fields which is required by those certain or any other regulatory bodies. So in that case, we do those enrichments on our best effort basis. So once we have that, then we move on to the policy based scanning. So let's say if at all you have defined any rules, which in again NXRadar provides you to kind of add in your own rules according to your organization. We do the policy scanning, and then we do with the vulnerability correlation. So we kind of map the components with the vulnerabilities. If at all we detect anything, we kind of show it. So that's a journey. So right from the data ingestion, that is generation of the SBOM, to the validation, then we move to the enrichment phases, policy scanning, and then we finally do with the vulnerability scanning. So once this entire process has been done, and that's how the end part is, like you would be reviewing those results, whatever you have processed in the entire analysis part, and then the last step would be kind of generating those PDF reports. So, and we have the reports, compliance reports based on PDF format and as well as in CSV formats. So this is the entire process, right from the ingestion to the reporting. And here is the truth, you can't protect what you can't see, right? And if you look at the today's time, most of the organizations are already flying blind because they don't have those proper SBOM management solutions. They might be doing it through the an Excel files. So Excel files are, first of all, they become stale the moment you generate an SBOM file, because they first of all lacks the integrity. That is number one. And second thing, if you look at the Excel files, let's say you have an Excel files that is SBOM generated in Excel format for, let's say, 10 applications. Okay, so how would you be able to track it? Let's say tomorrow a new CV comes into the picture and there is no continuous vulnerability scanning, right? So that Excel part is not at all a feasible way to do it, and neither the regulatory body accept that particular format. So we need a proper SBOM management solutions to kind of manage the entire SBOMs in your environment or in your respective organization. So if you are serious about securing your software supply chain, I want you to do one thing right now, that is click on the link provided in the description below. We offer a free demo, no commitments, no pressure, just clarity. And if you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe to our CyberNext channel. Thank you.